So this project, I think it's been going for 2 years, and it's coming to an end. So this is kind of a celebratory event, if you like. And really, all we want to do is to get you to talk a little bit about culture and what you think Isle of Wight culture is. What does that mean? What does that look like to you? So we'll just have a little general chat, and then we might come around and sort of film some of you individually about things. Like I say, don't worry about it. It's very, we're very informal, and we will only use a tiny bit. What does it mean to you? Yeah.
My mind thinks of like folk music and very traditional roots and things like Morris dancing is a very big thing on the Isle of Wight. So that's immediately where my mind goes to, but also island heritage, like the castles and the royal kind of relations as well.
Excellent, thank you. What about anybody else?
I was going to say like English heritage with like Carisbrooke and a lot of great landmarks that we have here as well. Also Ride Carnival, as we're known for like being the best is it local carnival or something in the UK? And I think our arts is the main like source for culture, and it goes back a long time ago.
Isn't Carisbrooke Castle one of the oldest in England?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But yeah, it's known for Charles I.
It was a small castle and then grew.
It expanded,
Yeah.
I think another massive thing about the Isle of Wight is the sailor kind of idea about it, and smugglers, because people were trying to get from France to the island, and it was the closest place rather than going straight to the mainland and getting caught.
It's a big tourist place as well.
Yeah.
Like Beatles songs, written about it, and just a lot of pop stars tend to come down and relax with their kids.
Dennis Cumberbatch has a house here, doesn't he?
Yeah. He got married. Yeah.
My cousin helped build it.
Yeah.
Lucky. Yeah.
Small world.
It is on the island, it is. Everyone knows everyone on the island. That is the problem. There's a nice...
Everyone's connected one way or the other.
Through friends or family. It's like a big community.
So if I go through my friends or family, somehow I can link it back to you. Or...
Yeah, there is a way, there'll be a way, there always is. It's beautiful.
Talking of connection, I mean, how are you all, do you feel connected to the Isle of Wight culture? What have you been involved with? Anything like that?
With performing arts, we do a lot of, like we do performances like with Carisbrooke Castle, we do Mardi Gras, we do other things. So yeah, with performing arts, we have always done culture stuff with it, and we've always been sort of connected with the history.
It's important that we provide entertainment,
and
volunteering for a lot helps keep this business alive in the industry, because we're so far apart from the rest of the UK. And we want to make it more global and known, and like the island to be shown in a good light, and arts is not dying out in a sense. Like we keep it running we've connected more with English heritage, and we try and connect with the Arts Council and like our local funding. That we want to keep it running so this course keeps running, and we need that funding because it's a big part of the island's culture. It goes back a long way, and it's a part of our growth as a community because it keeps us together, and the best way to show that is through the arts, to connect with emotions.
I think on a personal level as well, like not a lot of people around the country might have the chance to go visit the castle, or any castle really, as much as we can. And growing up, I've always been going to the castle or Osborne House or something, or a couple of the zoos or anything, and it's quite nice to feel that connection. And even if you go every year, it's either you know your way around eventually, or you find out something's changed, and it's quite nice to feel that connection to something so close.
It's not just performance art, it's with the carnivals you have decorations, and you have things like pride, and it all connects together. We all help each other out, and that's what builds the community, is that everyone knows from word of mouth or friendships. Like, it's a very wholesome atmosphere on the island at the moment with the arts community in general. So we all have connections, and this is how it's got so big and well known, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think because the island is like so small that we all know where we're going. Like, even if we get lost, we'll be able to find our way out because we're bound to know something where we're going because we've lived here for so long.
Yeah, I think, because when you first said, what do you think about the island, I instantly just think of just family orientated because my parents both moved here to raise their children, and I understand that a lot of teenagers say, oh, I want to get off this island, there's nothing to do. But I think that as a kid growing up here, I think it's an amazing place to grow up. I think it's, very safe, very family orientated, and I just think it's good for that. And so, yeah, it's just, I think it's a good starting point for anyone in that I really enjoyed growing up here, but then for the job opportunities, I do want to go elsewhere, but I always feel like it's always that homing that I always do want to come back. I do really love it here in that sense, so yeah.
I definitely think that the Isle of Wight is a good place to raise kids
Yeah.
because I had a chance to live in Manchester for my childhood and that would have been a disaster, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I prefer living here because I've been here with my mum almost about 10 years now because we moved here from the mainland. And it's just compared to where we were living in big cities, here it's more rural, more sort of close-knit communities. And it feels safer than, say, if you're living up in London with crime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas here it's sort of
quite bad in
more,
London.
you know everyone, you know how everything is. And I wouldn't have regretted moving here at all. If I knew this was happening and I stayed on the mainland, I would have preferred to move here just because friends, family, experiences, just a lot better.
I think the thing about the island, I moved here like 5 years ago. So it as soon as we got here, there's a very large sense of welcome and community.
Yeah.
You're accepted quite easily, and I think that's a really great thing because it shows how tight knit everyone is. And I think in general, the island's a very good place for like pride, like you said. It's a very welcoming place to whoever and whatever you believe in, really. And I think that's something really great.
Thank you. And yes, we go.
I moved here about 10 years ago as well, 11-ish years, and we were living on a little cul-de-sac in just off the edge of Cambridge, and it was quite sort of, that was it. There wasn't anything really past that for me. It was sort of like that was my everything, and it felt a bit small, I guess, and it didn't feel like there was anyone in it. So obviously, moving to the island, and then you see all these different people, and it's kind of like the more you go to, the more people, like we said, like with the connections and things like that. Like I do theatre in my spare time, and my friend me and my friend used to do theatre in one group, and then he moved to another group, and I was sad because I thought, I'd never see him again, and then I moved and he was there, and I was like, oh, there you are. But it's kind of so there's definitely a connection sort of, and it's definitely more of a community-based area.
And did you want to add something?
Yeah, I feel like the island, everyone, when they live on the mainland, I recently went up to Chichester, and I said to someone, I've come from the island to come and see, I went to go see a theatre show, and they went, oh, you've come all the way that way, and people just, for some reason people think, oh, it's so far away, but it's really not. And there's also the illusion that people are no one from the island gets anywhere, no one can become famous, no one can do anything, but the reality is there is Bear Grylls, who is widely known, but there's the royal connections, like I said before, and Millie O'Connell, who's a rising theatre star. She's just everyone knows who she is now, and she's very recently come off island. So it's not everyone immediately thinks it's a very small rural place, but really we're just the same as anybody else, really.
Also I kind of think my older sister's at university. She's in Canterbury, and we both agree with each other in that here I don't feel that there's a massive kind of like with kind of the different ages, in that when Liddy, my sister, is in Kent, she feels like it's very segregated from the younger group, the older group, and then the more elderly, and that they kind of keep to one. But here I don't necessarily feel like younger people are scary to older. Do you know what I mean? And so I'll walk down bus stop and older ladies will come up, talk to me. Like, I don't feel like when I go to other places, like in cities and stuff, that we have that interaction between generations. Like, I don't feel like segregated off from other people on the island, if that makes sense.
So do you think that's true culturally? I mean, I'm thinking of things like festivals where people of all different ages go. Would you say?
Isle of Wight Festival, it's not young.
It's massive,
It's not young.
Everyone pretty much knows about that now.
Yeah, all ages.
I'd love to meet someone who would say, "Oh, I don't know what the Isle of Wight Festival is."
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure that's possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So do you think festivals is a big part of island culture?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's a
exactly.
factor, yeah.
I think my parents are very musical. They are folk musicians. So I've spent my whole life around the Isle of Wight festivals, like the Isle of Wight Festival and other festivals like Risen Tree, and there was a festival called Post Fest, and all of these like little things that most people think are really weird, but we're just like, oh, that's part of who we are, that's part of our community. So I think festivals are a massive thing, and I've been going to them since I was like tiny, and it's just part of my life.
When you've got the festivals, we've got, of course, the island people going, then you've got people coming up from the mainland.
Yeah,
so
they all come down.
Yeah, all the way from London or something to come all the way down here, especially for just a festival.
And do you think there's anything else that's kind of unique or particular to the island culturally?
Like things like Garlic Festival and those
Yeah.
small knit festivals. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing like it. Like there's people who grow their own vegetables and things, and they sell them and they make it. But it's just the way like we're known for. Like some cuisines that we make, and like garlic ice cream and things like that.
But other places that would seem more obscure, but to us just seem it's just second nature.
We're so close to knowing everything. Like it's just so normal to them. People are like, oh, that's so newfangled. I love that, and I love when people come down and think it's so new and crazy. And then there's some people who think we're so backwards and we don't know anything because we don't have. ATMs on vending machines that we don't know any better, and we're not ahead of anyone. But we've got so many new cultural things that will come so famous to other people. It's just the new things that we try and we experiment with. It just becomes huge. Like with the festival, it was just 200-yard or little space. Where it was a few people coming around, and then suddenly mainland people, they heard about it and they were like, oh, let's get some artists from here, and it just blew up. And then now it's everywhere. It's posted around London. I see stuff about the White Festival, and it's bigger than a lot of shows there. People are like, no, I don't want to go to that, I want to go to the Isle of Wight Festival. And you see people out of Europe coming down, and you meet new people from everywhere. So it's just such a loud community, and everyone's talking about it.
I think another very individual thing about the Isle of Wight is our language. I feel like pretty much
depending on where from the island you are.
I feel like pretty much every other kind of county and stuff that aren't the Isle of Wight don't understand what we say half the time. And my family are born and bred Isle of Wight, so we are Corkers. And I am the most proper speaking out of everybody. So my mum, she says so many things that I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. And it's just Isle of Wight culture, and you kind of have to have your own dictionary in order to understand what they're saying, and I quite like that.
England's known as a melting pot of different cultures and different people, because obviously you have a lot of people from that migrated from Asia or migrated from inner Europe, but even then, it's all even though it's known as a melting pot, there's always, it's not segregated, but there are groups of people. Like you have a group of people from Asia that live in a group. But on the island, it's not like that. It's just everyone, even if they're from I don't know how to describe it. Even if they disagree with something, I think everyone has a component of respect to each other.
For other places, you would get discriminated for just being black or having a different religion. Yet here, we could just walk up the high street and we could be there talking to black people with different religions and ethnic groups, and we don't really matter. Go to London, people getting attacked for it. But we're just here, just like, well, they're human, they're on the island, why treat them any differently?
I also do think an aspect of that is that when I went to a quite small school, secondary, and sometimes if we get into arguments, because I went to a larger school and I went to a smaller one, when I was at a large school, I just avoid that person, I just avoid them. When I was at a small school, you can't avoid them.
You just have to
learn
to get along with them.
So that's why I feel like a lot of people resolve things here quicker, because it is that fact of the respect, but then also I feel like it's because you're going to see these people around, and you know that if in order to live your life, in a graceful way, then you need to respect other people around you. You're gonna keep bumping
You just got
into
to resolve your issues and get on with it.
Keep on.
Can I just move the conversation on a little bit? So we talked about culture generally. If I sort of
just travel, like even just 30 minutes to just either get lost in the forest for a bit, enjoy the nature, see the river or something, or then go to the beach. And I quite like that there's different beaches for different things. So in Cowes, I think there's a more pebbly beach that we always used to go to, and then
it's really fun, actually.
and you've got Compton, which is where the dogs are, and then you've got Ryde beaches, which are Ryde is probably the most popular beach because it's got the most sand and everything. But Compton's
go to Ryde and go fossil hunting.
I've gone crab fishing in Ryde once. That's quite fun.
We range massively on the beachfront. So we have Sandown, which is an entertainment beach, and we have Yaverland, which is a fossil beach, and Compton, which is a surface beach. So it's like there's so much variety for everybody, and there's like a different beach for a different person. So older people might want to go and sit down Yaverland, and younger people might want to go to Sandown.
And dog walkers go to Compton because it's the place you're always welcome with a dog.
I think it was a bit more privileged because some people would say, oh yeah, we're going to take next weekend and we're going to go up here and we're going to have to book this and this. Yeah, we could just walk out the house.
You could get anywhere.
Take a 2-minute walk and be just like, well, we get to do this whenever.
And it's so cool because it's like no matter where you are on the island, you're never too far away from a beach.
No, no matter where you are.
Honestly, you could just take a bus, or like for me, I could just walk down the road. And what's so interesting is the fact that I could take a 15-minute walk down the road, or I could also take a 20-minute walk to end up at like Osborne House or somewhere like that. It's kind of the sort of thing where there's so much to choose from, like in the beaches and things like that.
I feel like our travel links are very good on the island.
Yes.
Like you get a bus and you can take a bus anywhere pretty much. You can go anywhere.
And it leads to good opportunities for the schools as well, because I remember doing a lot in the forests as well with the school, because we used to like go not camping because it was close enough that you could just leave like a few hours later, but we used to put up I guess shelters and stuff and just get quite involved for a couple of hours and then we could go home. I think it means you can be close to nature while also being able to have the safety of home really close
we have a lot
by.
of school projects that reside near the beach and in the forest, like you were saying. They used to do like dino sculptures.
Yeah, they did. Yes.
Like with St Mary's had that big triceratops made out of clay and willow weaving, and that's a big thing that I've seen around the island.
Willow weaving's
that's been
quite big on the island.
They've gone around the schools. And we're known for a lot of carpentry as well. Like with Ryde Beach, there's that totem pole with the owls and squirrels and everything.
There's one in Ventnor as well.
Yeah, but it's all around, and there's one near Arroton of a bunny as well and a fox, I think. And it's everywhere. We know that there's landmarks really. We're just like, oh yeah, it's like the one with the squirrel, the
Yeah,
one with the
yeah,
rabbit.
there's always something
It's
that
like,
you
I know
recognise.
that place.
And every time you do look at that rabbit, you know, when you come, like,
That's something we got.
yeah,
There's going to be something
Yeah,
like, if
there's
it's
always-
going to be
Christmas,
the Santa
yeah.
hat
There's a
at
Christmas
Christmas.
There's
hat.
always something on there, yeah.
if it's
Yeah.
Easter, you know, it's got a little basket of eggs or
Basket,
something,
yeah.
and it's, you know, if it's winter, it's got a little scarf on,
Yeah,
and
but
it's.
I'm pretty
it's-
sure we love that sculpture more than we love ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I feel
Yeah.
like our island, it just goes to show that we have so many little quirks that
Yeah.
people kind of look
Yeah.
past, but we're like, it's great. And
It's
we love
us.
it.
And we go
Yeah.
out of our way to decorate a wooden rabbit on the side
Yeah,
of the
like,
road.
it's who we are.
I think it just all emphasises the fact that we're a large community.
Yeah.
We just,
Yeah.
we just like respect and
Yeah,
tolerate
that's
each
what I say. It's
other.
respectful because
Yeah.
no one's touched it. No one's ruined it.
No.
one's.
Which is surprising.
Yeah.
It is surprising.
I remember I used to go around like looking at the Christmas lights as well because so many people would take part and you just sort of you could do a really quick drive around and see so many of like the similar houses each year.
Like Busy Bee, like
Oh,
we know
yeah.
that it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
As soon as the massive reindeer goes up in
Yeah.
the
like, we
centre.
know it's
Yeah.
time. Like,
Yeah.
This is Christmas
Yeah.
now. Like the only reason I know it's Christmas is that I go to Busy Bee.
You just-
and then
You just wait for the reindeer to go
Yeah.
up.
like Santa's.
The reindeers, like,
We're all in. We're all
everyone
going.
flocks into Busy
Yeah.
Bee in their thousands and just.
Yeah, they don't even know other times.
At the same time.
Yeah, singing reindeers is the something that I know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
isn't around with the island. Like I know that there's that Santa reading a story. I've
Yes.
known that since I was a child because I've been here my whole life on the island. So it's just like with the singing reindeer, it's such a. I like the little kookiness and,
Yes.
and the quirks we have here. Like I'll miss it if I ever move.
It's quite funny.
Yeah.
But it's not fun. I think it's quite ridiculous when you think about how beautiful the island really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It-
There's
it-
so much
it's-
countryside and everything.
Yeah, because
Especially on the downs and everything. And
Well,
you could just go over. You
the
can go.
Needles.
Yeah, the Needles is gorgeous.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's like you could go to other very rural villages around the rest of the UK, but they all seem like the same, like they've just copied and pasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas
There's so
Yeah,
much.
we wanna
There's so
refine
many
it.
different types of buildings from different times.
yeah, it's like you could just look at the island and say, oh yeah, we're gonna have a bit of this, can have some of that,
And see,
and that's done.
the thing with the island is that when people say, oh, there's something for everyone goes, well, there surely isn't. But there really
is.
There is.
And
There's-
it's mental because, I mean, just going on a walk,
You
like
find
if you
that.
want to take your dog out, you can take them to like 5 different beaches, or you can take them to 6 different forests, or you can take them to, you know, you can take them up to the Abbey, you know, if you want a really nice like quiet walk, or, you know, something like that. There's so many different things on just really like simple things where you would go, oh, there's only a couple of places to do this. Like, no,
There's
there's
not.
there's
So-
so much to choose from.
We're
But-
not just an island, we're a whole world in itself.
Yeah.
No, I feel like there's places on the island that I haven't visited. There are
Oh,
places
yeah.
that
There's
Yeah.
places I
There's
haven't
loads of
visited.
places
I've
that I've
been
never
in
seen.
years.
it's like alright, like it's so small, but like
big at the
I've
same
not
time.
visited everywhere on the island.
There's times when
I've lived here my whole life. I haven't even explored everywhere.
Yeah, I'm
and
like that.
the thing we're blessed for is that there's no big industry where there's fumes from factories. It's not ruining the scenery. It's still pristine, and every time you go to a different part of the forest or you look over the cliff, you see another part that you haven't explored yet, and it's like totally different world to the other one, like at Robin Hill, and then you go down to Arunshire. There's so many different fields. There's like farmyards, and then there's like near Carrisborough, and it's like a fairy tale atmosphere.
Some people plan to travel the world and think, oh yeah, we're going to see so many different things, but
Come down here.
yeah, we could just go half an hour
Yeah.
up the road and think,
We're in
there's something
50
new.
fair.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
down.
And I think even with stuff like that, even when if we do have factories or anything, they're quite hidden. So like if you go down the cycle path to cows, you can like sometimes you'd have to stop because they were transporting the what were they the wind, not
Wind turbine. Turbines?
I love this. I love this.
It's a dance.
Is this the performing arts that we're talking about?
yes, I know the wind turbine fan blades.
Blade.
They would go down
Yeah.
and they would always like occasionally go through, but even then
These are
it was
huge.
it was quite undisturbed, so you would still be able to go down the cycle path and you might see some foxes or rabbits or something, but like you can just occasionally just look around and there's a fox or a badger or a hedgehog. I saw a hedgehog in like my grandparents' front garden one random winter. And a pheasant. They have a pheasant as well.
Yeah, I love the red squirrel.
Yeah.
On the island. Yeah.
Now we've got the squirrel trails and
Yeah.
the amount of times I've been sat waiting for a ferry
Yeah.
and I look across the car park and just see the red squirrel going across the
Yeah,
fence.
Yeah, that's
Crazy.
incredible that we've got them because like so few places have red squirrels
Yeah.
anymore, and it's so nice that we're able to preserve them.
And there's also that squirrel hide that you can like go into. I can't remember where it is, but it's like sort of, and you can like watch the birds, or you can
Is it at
watch
Robin
the
Hill?
squirrels.
I think there was one at Robin.
There was one at Robin
Yeah.
Hill, but
There's a
this
place,
is somewhere else.
I remember doing the cross country as a stand down, and there was a place by this massive marshland. There used to be the little hides that you could sit in and watch the birds,
Yeah.
and
Like you like look over this lake thing.
you can
and
see.
I remember like my mum was like, "Oh, put some like nuts in your hand and then just like leave it out." And
Yeah, no,
I
no.
sat there for no joke. I think it was an hour and a half with my hand out, and there's a photo of a squirrel eating from my hand,
Yeah.
and it was just the best thing ever. And I was like, what, 7 at the time, and that was just like
Amazing.
my favourite. Yeah.
Snow White, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Mum, I'm
It's like-
Snow White.
Other places would be just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just walk in now. I'm gonna disturb the wildlife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so do
Yeah.
you think there's something about being so close to such
Yeah.
varied
Yeah.
nature
But
that
Yes.
inspires
Everyone's so
creativity?
respectful.
We
of
put it
I
into
think.
consideration that other places we're just like, yeah, I'm gonna walk in now and disturb the wildlife and the scenery. Yet we're just like, no, we're gonna build these specific places
So you can.
where you can still interact but not disturb
It's,
everything
and
else.
it's so incredible to see how, even if people are around this nature, how excited they get. Because I was at the garlic farm once and there was a couple of squirrels outside because they have a sort of run area. And everyone just sort of, as soon as one person said there was a squirrel,
Yeah.
everyone stopped, turned, and like
What?
almost just went to the window to try and take pictures. And it's incredible how much people care about the nature here, I think.
I think it's because we don't have like big motorways here. That
Yeah.
all of the animals want to be around people,
Yeah.
and there's some very confident pigeons around.
Yes.
Like, and seagulls, like
Too
they're
confident sometimes.
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah, those seagulls are
I'm pretty sure those seagulls eat more than I do.
Home crafts in the sense of like pottery, so like fired art in Ryde and like Chessel pottery, and then you think of different galleries in Cowes where they have, you know, so I think it's really good for home crafts in that it's not a commercial thing, it's individual artists doing their thing, and you're going to find so many different things that you probably haven't seen commercially, and it's a good advantage to, you know, come over and see people's
Yeah, the
different
islands.
aspects.
So, the island's really good at it cultivates not just like theatre or art in general, but it cultivates creativity as a whole. Because I think like I can't think of any schools on the island that don't have some form of art course. I put art in a very big bracket, but some form of art course, something that's creative or something that can get people engaged. And I think it's very important to keep that, because it's so integral to when a child grows up to be able to express creativity. But it's also important for even when you're older and an adult to be able to give yourself the freedom to express any creativity that you have.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's hard to do that when
So when I was in primary school, I was part of a gardening club with my class. And while the rest of the UK would think, well, that's just you planting some flowers. But where we're a very art-based island, where we would then go to competition with the plants we were putting around the school, that was still very important, because it was us experimenting and showing that, look, we can do something. May seem normal or mundane to the rest of the UK, but it's what we do.
Also, like, all the art here is so, you know, unique. I've never seen, like, every time that you go to somewhere and you see, you know, pieces of art, like in shops down in Cowes or like in things like that, it's all, yeah, it's all so different. It's all, you know, like you could go and pick up a postcard that someone's made and you won't have seen anything like it before, and then, you know, you go down to another shop to like get a photo from a gallery, and it's, you know, lovely pictures of the island that no one really gets to see, and it's so every time that there is a piece of art on the island, it's all so individual. You know, people, you know, paint like organise like rocks and photo frames to make like the island and things like that, and it's and even, you know, in the art sense, it's a big part of who or what the island is, you know, who everyone is on the island and what they do. But yeah, all of it's very unique in the sense of what you get and what you look at and what you see.
Yeah, I feel like something that I don't want to say lacking, but it's like we forget about certain things. Like up until recently, I didn't realise that a lot of famous artists, as in painters and poets, would write about places like Bonchurch in the Isle of Wight. Tennyson wrote a lot about things like St Catherine's Point and Culver Down and same like Bonchurch and all of that, but like we kind of just forgotten history, and I think personally I would like that to be more widely spread, and for people off island to know that like it is a good place and it's not just somewhere where there's like farmers or somewhere like that. Like it's somewhere for everybody.
With the Arts Council, like the funding is crucial because arts is in everything we do. Like with advertisement, where do you get the post from? An independent artist, like put that together with graphic design. Like we need that, and with radio, like tunes and like tones and everything. We've got big characters like on the radio all the time, Vectors Radio and Isle of Wight Radio. Like we need these creative people to fund like other businesses and people who aren't in the arts. Like they supply like how they get out there and how they make sales. Like you need the arts funding for everything. Like it's all linked together.
I think especially with something like the island, because it could be so easy for us to get cut off from everything. But there are those people that are, even with coffee shops and stuff, putting art from different people in their shops to sell, or just like even something as simple as that can help boost it so quickly. And it's so good that we have that community to help develop either theatre or just art in general, or music or anything like that.
I feel like what's easy to forget is when you're sat watching a movie, or you look at a picture, like you look at a photo, it's easy to just go, oh, that's just a photo, oh, that's just a film, but you forget about how much effort, how much time goes behind it, the actors involved, the special effects, or when it's photography, the angle and the time of day and the effort that someone has gone out to take that specific picture at that time to make it so special that people just forget and they look past it. But I feel like we need to remember how important it is about like art and film.
And then also everyone wants to get off the island, there's more opportunities there. Well, why don't we need to start the kind of, well, why don't we start stuff here? Like we always feel like we have to go out, but why don't people actually think, you know what, actually I'm going to stay here, and then actually give people more opportunities and build stuff here.
Make the opportunities for people to have, rather than us having to go to the mainland. Like I know that I'm going to the mainland to do my further education because I can't do it here, but I just wish that I could.
Like don't take it there, bring it here.
Yeah.
That's actually what, I don't know if you know about the Ventnor Fringe, but Jack and Vari started that. I think they were about 16 at the time, and that's exactly why they started the Fringe, because they wanted to just say, let's do it, let's do it here.
That's good.
I think that's why people feel so buzzed when they see the islands, like if there's a film photography of the island or a scene in a movie, and it's like that's the clip.
That's where we are.
That's where we are, and that's why we're so buzzed that someone's recognising us, because we are so connected to the arts and further education in the mainland, but we haven't got the resources. We need that funding for like further education, because we've got so many individual talents here.
Isn't it like I went to, because I'm going to uni next year, and I went to look at Bournemouth University. I went at it, I looked at it and I thought, wow, this has got everything I could ever want in it. And then, I was thinking, that's great, I can, leave the island. And then, I started thinking about, all the talent that we have here and all of the art we have here. And then, on the way home, I was kind of thinking like, I should probably appreciate all the arts here a lot more before I leave. So,
Thank you. I mean, what sort of things, you know, do? Are you involved with that are creative? Yes.
I feel like definitely the theatre kind of side of things in Ireland is massive.
Yeah.
Like we have so many shows going on at different times. We have like shows from Chicago to a pantomime, but also children on the Isle of Wight are so creative, and it's got to the point where we had to have so many different theatre schools for everyone to be accommodated. Like there is a theatre school currently that are working towards where I'm doing a show in Portsmouth with people like Emma Barton, who everybody knows. So it's like really, it's like I think definitely theatre is one of the biggest things on the island, and we have 3 coming up to nearly full. So it's a very exciting time to be into theatre and into performing arts.
So you can get to a certain point in the year where the rest of the UK is having a break from theatre, yet we still have, say, 2 or 3 going on, just because it's...
I mean, like, I'm in, like, South Wight Theatre, but I used to do Spotlight, which used to be in Shanklin Theatre, which is, like, the main one, and I was in that for, like, 10 years, and then been in South Wight for, like, 2 years, and it's mental because you can just, you know, move to any theatre group that you want, and there is a lot going on, you know, so it's not like you have to look to one theatre group and go, well, we've got to wait until their next thing's on. Like, no, you've got like the White Strollers and you've got like everything else going on, so there's always something to watch, there's always something to look at.
I think that all the theatre companies talk to each other and they discuss that, like, we're going to do the Christmas show, that they never have it on the same time. Like, the competition it's not even a competition anymore, it's like we're doing this thing, we notify you, and it's all spread out around the year, and that's why it's such a good tourist spot, because you've always got some show going on. And with Theatre Train, like, they've gone to New York to perform, so when people say we don't travel, we don't go further than the island, we have, like, there's proof that I think they performed at the Empire State Building, and their choreography and their vocal range is insane, and this like 8-year-olds performing, doing like splits and everything, it's amazing, and we have the resources and we're able to go further than the island, and I think that's why the close like community that we have helps us discuss, grow and have large connections, and that's why we're successful and we know how to market our talents better.
Great. I mean, I'm going to ask Lucy first if you want to go around individually, but the thing I'd like you to think about now...
The Isle of Wight is a very art-cultured place. It has a lot of different arts for everyone. There's something for everyone, and I know that a lot of people say that all the time, but there definitely is something unique about the island in every aspect, you know, be it nature or the arts or the theatre. It's just something different for everyone.
Fab, thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Breathe.
I mean, so
All good?
Okay, whenever you're ready.
I feel like the Isle of Wight is a very family-orientated place where there is something for everybody, no matter how old or how young you are. You can go and enjoy yourself, and there's so many attractions, and it's just a brilliant family place.
Fab.
This is going to be 4 hours.
Okay.
What I think of the island is it's very, as all the others said, it's very family orientated, but we've also got a lot of history here based, and which is also good for teenagers nowadays because they're always on their phones. But now you can leave your phones and go out to the parks. You've got loads of parks, you've got loads of countrysides to do, and you've got a lot of nature to do with it.
Fab. Okay.
Is this the chair then?
Okay.
One thing I like about the island is how close to nature we are, and how it doesn't matter how far you go or how short a distance you go, you can always find something like a forest or a beach to explore.
Fab, thank you.
Flu jab.
Okay.
So the Isle of Wight to me is a very safe place, and I feel like, from what I've said, family orientation, and it's very respectful, and I think a lot of people really do enjoy living here for that reason. So.
You dance?
Okay.
I think the island's culture comes from community and connection with heritage and all the people and our nature and our views, and every part of the island is to do with connection in some way, and how well we are spread with our resources. And I'm glad that we have such a small community that we are able to show further. Yeah, sorry. That's it. Sorry.
The Isle of Wight is a large community that's unspoken but full of love and respect.
The Isle of Wight is a very close-knit community. It doesn't matter whether you're young or old. You just get along, your family.
The island's incredibly quirky. We're full of differing personalities. It's stuff like people can be quirky on the island, and the island is quirky in general, but it's got a beauty to the quirkiness to it, which I think is really nice to appreciate.